you ready to make technology work for you? Tune in to Act on Tech, the podcast where we break down the latest tech trends and show you how to boost your productivity at home and in your business. So, subscribe to Act on Tech today and visit alexcustomtech.com to see how we can take your business to the next level. That's Act on Tech, your guide to smarter tech for a smarter business. Alex Custom Tech, IT means integrity and trust.
Hello, welcome to Act on Tech, where we talk all things technology. I am Alex of Alex Custom Tech, and today we're gonna have a special episode, a little episode where I'm gonna take a little step back away from the security focused stuff that I've been doing the last couple of episodes, and we're gonna talk about something a little bit more relaxed. So today we're gonna take on different myths that needs to die. So talk about myth is folklore or something that's out there that people tend to believe about technology that is naturally not true. That is a lie, actually, and needs to die. We're going to talk about what some of them are, what I think some of them are that are out there, and why it's incorrect. Okay, so let's take a seat and listen to some of these myths, and you'll learn something today, and you can tell your friends later on, like, oh, that's actually not true. We geeks do that a lot. We definitely do that a lot, especially for me with like comic books, lore, and technology. Of course, I do this a lot. So let's not do it in an arrogant way, but let's talk about some of these myths that need to die. So whether it comes to your cousin or somebody who knows computers, sometimes you read online, in 2009, or a bad habit you have picked up over time. Myths can cause and lead to poor decisions, waste money, and of course even have security issues and risk along with them. So let's break some of these myths down, and some of you here over time, and let's set the record straight. Okay. So the first myth we're going to talk about, which is a very interesting one, because I remember this myth been around for a long time, and it was never actually true. It's just that it has to do with the user base of this particular product. So the first myth we're going to talk about is that Macs don't get viruses. Right? The first myth is Mac doesn't get viruses. Why is this a myth? Macs may have fewer viruses because of the user base, fewer threats than Windows, but they are not immune. Malware, spyware, and phishing still affect Mac users. That is the first myth. Okay. All right. The truth: every operating system needs an antivirus. Mac, Google, or Android, and even the wonderful Linux. All of them need some kind of antivirus and things that you have to do to protect those devices. Right? Myth one. Myth two: more Wi-Fi bars mean faster internet. Okay, so the little bar that's on your phone that we have when you connect to Wi-Fi, either it's like all of them or like maybe 2 or 3. People think that the stronger, longer, more bars you have is the faster internet. That's a myth. Okay, why it's a myth? Signal strength only tells you how well you're connected to your router, not how fast your internet actually is. Now, the speed of the internet comes from the internet plan ISP gives you, right? Your network configuration or your network setup, right? And your router placement. So when we talk about the internet provider, your ISP, they're the ones that you negotiate with about how much speed you want. And then when they send that to your demarcation or where your router is or where their modem is, you have to make sure that your network is capable to handle those speeds. So like one of the things we network engineers have to worry about when we're setting up networks, we have to say, okay, if we're gonna do, is it gonna be a 10 gigabit network inside the LAN or the network place, the business, or is it gonna be a gigabit network, or is it gonna be more than 1 gig? It's gonna carry a gig or more than 1 gig. So a regular Cat 5e cable can carry up to a gig of data, right? But if you go with a Cat 6, it can carry up to 10 gigs of data. And then if you go into like your fiber optic, you just that's a whole different level of speed you can have. And then you can have what's known as bottlenecks. So if you have the wiring or the cabling that can handle the 10, but if the router or the switches can't, it's going to step down to whatever the router or the switch is. So you have to have a consistent configuration on all endpoints, right? So the cables have to be able to handle what the ISP is sending you. Your router got to be able to handle it. Your switch got to be able to handle it, and your access point got to be able to handle it, because different access points will have different speeds, right? So it depends on what you're doing. So when you're planning out your network, you got to plan it without those things in mind. So the bar really doesn't make much of a difference, or the signal doesn't make much of a difference as far as your speed. The truth is, the router and the switches and the cables, those are the things that really determine how your speed is, right? Number 3, you should shut down your computer every night. This one is an interesting one because I go to people's businesses all the time and set these things up, and this is what I have to keep. This is the one that keeps coming up. You gotta shut down all the time. This guy shut down every night. You shut it down. I'm like, well, no, you don't have to shut it down unless you're troubleshooting, or maybe once a week or once a month, right? So why is this? Shutting down your computer constantly can interrupt updates and slow down workflow. That's true. If you shut down all the time, you won't get an update in a timely manner because it wasn't on, right? And modern systems are built to sleep or hibernate effectively. Reboot once a week or once a month if you want to be really extreme. Once a month is totally fine, right? You want it to be on because it does its work when it's on. It's designed to do that, right? On me, of course, unless I come in and I'm troubleshooting or somebody's troubleshooting, you can turn it off, right? Next one I hear about a lot, and we talked about this one when I talked about VPNs. So incognito mode keeps you anonymous. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. That's a myth. So let's talk about the myth a little bit. Why is this a myth? Incognito stops your browser from saving history, but your ISP, employer, and the website you visit still have the information, still know who you are. Okay? So we talked about this when I was talking about VPN, a couple weeks ago, right? The incognito, all it does is that when you finish browsing, it deletes all it gets rid of your browsing history. Now, there are particular browsers that is built for privacy. Like DuckDuckGo is kind of like that, and of course your dreaded Onion, that's more a private browser, right? But if you really want privacy, again, it's not built for that, but if you really want to take that on home, all right, get a VPN. But if you're careful of VPN you pick, but get a VPN. That's how the ISP won't see and your job won't see and that kind of stuff. Again, if you're probably at work, you probably can't install a VPN on there anyway because they won't let you. Or they already have their own VPN, so you can't. If you install a VPN on top of their machine, that's shadow IT, and then that's a whole different ball of wax. So yes, if you really want security at home, as far as privacy, you don't want anybody to know about it. We'll talk about that in the VPN episode, but the VPN is the way to go. But you have to pick a particular VPN to do that. Right? Next myth. Now this one is I'm not very strong in this, but I know this to be a fact because that's why I had to look this one up. More megapixels means a better camera. All right? Some people think that. right? Why it's a myth? Quality depends more on sensor size, lens quality, and software processing than raw pixel. So pixel really doesn't really not the end all be all. It's what's under the hood pretty much, right? In the camera. So the truth is, a 12 megapixel camera with a good sensor will beat a 48 megapixel camera that's cheap. Okay? So it's not really just the megapixel in it, is what's under the hood, right? All right. Next myth. You need to close apps on your phone to save battery. Now, I used to believe this one to myself. But I have a really old phone. I have an Apple iPhone 8. I know that sounds weird, but I use things until the wheels fall off it. So the phone works fine, and I know how to get the best performance out of the phone. So it's fine. There's certain apps I can't download, but I don't need them, so that's not an issue. And I do have other Apple products that's more modern or later version, but my personal phone, it's an Apple 8. Apple iPhone 8. And I used to think that the apps running in the background was killing the batteries, but that's not what happened. The batteries are not. For instance, my battery will last a day, like one day. It used to be able to last one day, but not last one day. This phone, again, it doesn't have those mechanisms inside of it to protect the battery the way modern iPhone has. So, of course, battery been charging for all these years, it's not gonna hold a charge like it used to, right? But I thought some of that was related to the apps. Now, here's the truth, all right? Constantly closing apps can actually use more battery, all right? The truth is, most phones are optimized to manage background and app intelligently. They design the software, the OS to manage those things properly. So even though it's sitting in the background, it's not really using that much power. I'm not using it at all in some cases until you mess with it. So you have to really worry about that. So that's a myth that I myself used to believe. Okay. Now, another one. Cloud storage means your data is backup. So that's another one we've talked about. So when you have cloud storage, say you have like Google Docs, and you have files locally on your computer, and it's also in the cloud, right? It's not backed up at all. Let me explain to you why. Because even though you have it in two different locations, once you make a change locally, it generates that change in the cloud also. So if that's how the mechanism works, if you get ransomware that locks the files on your computer, it's gonna go also to the cloud and lock the files on the cloud, and voila, you have no access to that file anywhere, either the computer or the cloud. So Google storage is just a way for you to access that data without being locally on the network or having the actual computer that the information is. So just copying it somewhere else so you can access it, but at the same time, it's not in a storage. It's not backed up. So when you talk about backing up things, it's making a copy. Okay, it's kind of like, let me see if I can give it to you if you're from the 80s, like myself. So one of the things I used to do, because I used to be very heavily into music, right? So I would buy vinyl. So I'll buy a vinyl record, right? I'll buy the vinyl record, and the first time I play it, this is like when I was like a young boy, like in my 9 or 10 years, or when I was 13 or my teenage years. I have a big vinyl collection. I've always loved music. So I would buy a vinyl record, and the first time I played that vinyl record, I would record the music on a cassette. If you guys are old enough to know what a cassette is, I would record the album on the cassette, and then that cassette would be the backup, right? And I either I'll play the cassette until the tape pops, or I'll play the vinyl. But eventually, over time, the vinyl gets kind of crackling, and sometimes it may skip or whatever, but I still have the original sounding because I had the cassette. And the cassette is the backup of the vinyl. Not a very, T for T backup, but it's a backup, right? So that's kind of the same concept with backups in technology. So you have your files and you back it up, and the different backup settings like incremental or whatever. You can set it up every Wednesday or every Thursday or every midnight or in the end of the day or whatever, right? Those files are backed up and stored somewhere else. So if you make changes, so if it backs it up at 12 o'clock and you make a change at 12:01, that change won't be on the backup. The backup is on the backup at 12 o'clock. But here's what's beautiful about it. If you make changes during the course of the day, so say you back it up at midnight on Wednesday, and Thursday morning you come in, and around like 10 o'clock Thursday morning you get a ransomware. So everything you did in the beginning of the day is gone, technically, right? But not too fair. You tell the guy to pound sign, or whoever is trying to ransomware you can pull down the backup that you had for midnight, and you can start all over again, and you won't be shut down. Or if you do incremental backups, so say you do backup every hour, which is very extreme, but still, say you want backup every hour. When you figure out what hour the virus got in, or whatever happens, then you can say, okay, let's go before that time, and then we can use that up from that time. Now, the things about these guys with ransomware, they kind of let it sit a little bit and let you do a lot of things, and then they'll shut it down. So that's why you want IT guy there to be able to monitor your network, and you got to have good safety practices within the business so you can notice things earlier. So we don't want to go into security, but that's something to think about. So Cloud Sync is not the same as backup. If you delete a file or get hit with a ransomware, cloud storage may sync the same changes. All right. The truth is, use proper backup tools with variations and office copies and offline copies. All right. Now, we talk a lot about these myths, and again, I want to take the time out to say I'm taking a break from the security stuff. I want to do something a little bit lighter. But again, these are myths that have been in the tech world, and in people think that are true that are not true. And I wanted to just take a break from the security hammering over the head thing and talk about this, because again, like I said, my plan wasn't to talk about security all the time. And again, sometimes you have to go where you're needed. Like, I get it. It's just that I didn't want to, because sometimes I get passionate about it, and I don't like that. So we're talking about this now, where where it's a little bit more lighthearted, right? And you can see that it's not just about technology in itself is great, and it's wonderful that we have all these things and convenience that we have at our fingertips now, and it's supposed to make our life better, right? We're not supposed to be afraid of it or intimidated by it. So let's talk about it today in a way where we can say, by the way, you don't have to turn off your computer every day. By the way, Macs gets viruses too, right? Just, to show that you have that knowledge. You have that, that technical background, right? So like I said, cloud storage doesn't mean that it's a backup. All it is just another place to store your data, so you have access to it. It's more convenient you have access to it, right? Now, let's do a little lightning round, all right? More RAM always means faster performance. Not necessarily. I'm working on a computer right now, and the computer is extremely slow, and there's multiple factors of why it's slow, right? It has I think it has a SD RAM in it, right? But I'm getting errors from the hard drive, so maybe that's probably the problem. It could be the OS itself. Maybe some of the things in it are not, some of the services running in the background not running, is stalling. That could cause it to slow down. the internet could be the reason why it slows down. So RAM and the CPU may not be fast enough. The CPU may be overheating. CPU may be too hot. That could cause it to slow down too. So RAM is not always mean that the performance is going to be good or bad. It's other things, right? So antivirus, I'm gonna stop. So RAM doesn't always mean. So no, one buck up. RAM always mean faster performance. That's not true. I gotta say, there's other things to take into consideration. Now, a lightning round. Antivirus is enough. So you just install an antivirus in your computer and then you just get off done enough. No, antivirus that's not been updated is like a paper. It's like a paperweight. Okay, you have to update it to monitor it. So antivirus without user awareness and patching doesn't do anything. Okay, you don't need IT help if you're a small business. Let me stop and put a pin in this one. All right. This one is personal, right? So everything we do, everything a business, you have a business, you focus on providing a service to a customer, and you use technology to facilitate with that, to make that easier. But the technology itself needs to be maintained and monitored, right? If you know how to maintain your technology and you are very, very comfortable with and have the time, you can afford that time away from your business. So say you have a staff, whatever, the business have a system and you have a staff that handles that. So you have the time to set up a network and set up all the stocks that you need, the software, and monitor all of them and keep the logs and do all that stuff. You're confident you can do that, and it doesn't take away from your business. By all means, you don't need to call me or anybody like me. Okay, I want to make that absolutely clear. If you can do that, you don't have to call me or anybody like me. But to think that you can have a business where you are essential to the operation of it, right? You're the leader. They look to you for leadership. You have to delegate yourself to employees. That's your main role. For you to be doing this too makes no sense. Makes no sense. I know paying for something that is not broke is very hard for human beings to do, but it will break. It's kind of like buying a car. Once you buy a car, you pull it off the lot. For a good 6-8 months, something's gonna happen. Maybe a year, nothing will happen to it. But come around the other year, the tires start to look kind of funny. The steering wheel will start to vibrate when you hit the brake, right? Definitely gonna need oil change, right? Unless you buy a Honda, and those can run without oil. Those are tanks. But other than that, you might run over a nail. It's gonna be punctured, right? You're gonna need to be able to get somebody that have the expertise to work on these things, right? And some of the things in cars you might know how to do, but again, not everything. So the point is, IT, MSPs, we're not just here just to be here, okay? We love this, bar none. Like, especially for me, like this is my life, right? This is my passion. I can't not do this, and that's the thing. And of course, I think is like I have to do this. So if I'm not doing this and getting paid, I just have to do this on my own. I have to just take on these projects on my own and redesign my house network, and I just have to do it. I have no choice. And I'm saying this like a drug addict or something like that. I have to do this. So it'll be nice to get paid to do it, but at the same time, I'm pretty sure there's other guys out there. You have a business, Google your local MSP again, shop around. I know that the price that they offer sometimes is ridiculous. And sometimes you don't understand why they're doing things. But again, I would agree. Some of the prices are all out there, right? But find out why they charge so much. Okay? But having that backup, having that go-to, having that help is something you won't have to worry about if you have them. So, it's a myth that if you're a small business, you don't need the IT. You don't need IT. That's false. That is so false. And I know it's a conflict of interest because I'm saying I'm an IT guy and I'm saying you need me. Okay? Even that word is cringy to me because I don't want to be needed. I'm not that important. I don't think I am. But at the same time, what I do is important. Not me, myself, but what I do is important. And if nobody hires me and this podcast doesn't get listened to by anybody, I mean, if you listen to it but you don't call me, that's fine. I'm just saying, if you're a small business, you need, and you're not able to do this, you need to have somebody that does. That's all I'm saying. This is a myth, okay? Because bad things could happen. I'm not gonna go down the whole security route. It's not just security. I mean, you can lose your files without it being hacked. Okay. So, yeah, that's a thing. Okay. So, that is a myth. Right? And I would say you don't need an IT guy, you don't need a IT help in your small business until something breaks. Then you gotta scramble around and call people. And then those IT guys that you snuffed for the last 2 years while you're in business, then now you put the power in their hand. Why don't you call them when you have the power? When your system is fine and nothing breaks, so you can negotiate with them. When you call them because you're panicking because your business is not working, then they can highball you because you need them. Just saying, it's a thought. Okay. So don't believe everything you hear about tech. Question it. All right. Focus on function, not folklore. Build your setup around facts, not myths. And if you're not sure, ask someone who lives and breathes tech, like myself, or people like me. Okay? Thanks for listening to Act on Tech. If you believe one of these myths before today, don't worry. You're not alone. Like I said, I believe some of them. Right? The goal is to learn and grow and get better at using technology with confidence. Right? If you need help, of course you can give us a call. I would direct you guys to my website, www.addiescustomtech.com. You can learn more about me there. That's kind of like my hub where everything kind of like goes and sits, right? And I'm going to be working on some of these white papers I'm running behind for the family issues right now. Okay, so go there, check it out. If you whatever podcast you listen, whatever service you listen to, you can rate this podcast if you want. If you don't, that's fine, right? But remember, don't believe everything you hear about technology. Do your own research, okay? And make sure that you do what's right. I remember one of the main ones. Incognito doesn't mean that you're invisible, right? Until next time, stay smart, stay sharp, and keep acting on tech.
Hey there, Jersey and Eastern PA businesses. Ready to take your IT game to the next level? Get excited because Alex Custom Tech is coming your way. We're your go-to for IT support, bringing integrity and trust to every service. From network upgrades to virtualization and even relocating your IT setup, we've got you covered. Stay tuned as we put the finishing touches on our new site. Alex Custom Tech, helping your business thrive with top-notch IT support right in your backyard.
Welcome to Alex Custom Tech, your trusted partner for computer service and repair since 2010. We provide professional consulting services to clients throughout New Jersey and Pennsylvania, offering everything from computer repair to network design and installation. Our focus is on building efficient, results-driven professional relationships with our clients. We work with you to create customized solutions that fit your specific needs, whether you're an individual or an organization. Our comprehensive IT consulting services are designed to make your technology work more effectively for you. We provide solutions that meet your business's performance and utilization demands. Because we understand that when your technology doesn't work, neither do you. We specialize in network design and implementation, taking the pain out of network creation, maintenance, and repair. Our team understands that even minimal downtime can impact your productivity and revenue. That's why we offer 24/7 proactive monitoring and maintenance to strategically optimize and protect your infrastructure. For residential and business clients, we provide affordable and reliable computer repair services, available both on-site and at our location. Our commitment to quality is reflected in our satisfied customers' experiences. We service New Jersey and Pennsylvania. Alex Custom Tech is ready to serve your IT needs. Contact us today at 855-668-6315 or email info@alexcustomtech.com to discover how Alex Custom Tech can help optimize your technology solutions.